What's up, YouTube? DaAverageGamer Shawn here, bringing you a spoiler-filled review. Spoiler-filled review. Spoiler-filled review of Avengers: Age of Ultron. Spoilers. So at this point, I've said spoilers about 15 times. If you don't know spoilers, 16. Get out, because there's nothing but spoilers, 17, in this review. So I actually have notes. If you see, I got some notes just to keep. Make sure I talk about everything that I want to talk about. We're going to keep this video 20 minutes and under, so I'm just going to hit some key points and some plot lines and stuff like that. I think the first thing we really need to talk about is it sets up, I can scratch that off, it sets up phase 3 perfectly. You got movies like Black Panther, Civil War, and the Infinity Gauntlet. It sets up those movies perfectly. It does that through the new characters, one being the Vision and the other being Scarlet Witch, played by Elizabeth Olsen. But yeah, because we all know Scarlet Witch has the power to like kind of manipulate minds and all that kind of stuff. And one thing she does is, while she's affecting the Avengers' minds, there are a lot of different like flashbacks and flash forwards, it seems like, especially on the side of Thor, that hint to future Marvel movies. Like in the trailers, you remember how in the trailers they showed like Captain America and a broken shield? I don't know if that was supposed to be like for this movie, like Iron Man had that vision, Tony Stark had a vision when he got taken over about him being a lone survivor and the team is like dead, and that's why we see the broken shield and people. And so I don't know if that was supposed to set up for the Infinity Gauntlets or this movie, but it could be a flash forward to like the Infinity Gauntlet other movies. Like I said, other characters have flash forwards to other movies too. Black Panther, Civil War, the Infinity Gauntlet, and Ragnarok, now that I think about it, Thor's movie. So those are 4 movies for phase 3 that we're going to have flashbacks to, even though Civil War is going to be like the official book in phase 2. How does it set up these movies? Black Panther, they introduced the Claw. Black Panther is one of Black Panther's main villains in his comic book. It shows how he actually becomes and gets that metal hand. I will not spoil that, but it does set that up. Civil War, there's a lot of animosity between the group on how the right way to actually go about defeating these villains and what they should be doing as heroes. Like, there's a lot of tension between that. The Infinity Gauntlet, they talk about the gems more in this movie, like the Mind Stone and all that stuff. If you don't know, the Vision is created with the Mind Stone. We'll talk about that when I talk about some of the characters in the movie. But yeah, it also kind of sets up Ragnarok and Inhumans, because as we know, as I already mentioned, you have Scarlet Witch and you also have Quicksilver, the twins, the Maximoff twins. Because you know Magneto is mostly an X-Men character, they can't really use him. Well, that's why we don't have Wolverine and stuff in these movies. Like Wolverine, I think there's like another. I think Cyclops is kind of an Avenger as well. Avenger as well, but they're not in this movie, so they have to find a way around where they came from. So they're more Inhumans. They're not like actually mutants. Their powers are like tested on them using the Loki staff. I can't remember what Infinity Stone gem is in the mind. Was it what that is in Loki's staff? But they're experimenting with that, and that's how Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch get their powers. So they're more Inhuman type characters. So that's kind of like a little play on what's the word, canon and things like that, and what they can and can't do in this universe. But they still got the same powers, but they're just not Magneto's kids, I want to say. I'm just gonna draw the line there and say they're probably not Magneto's kids. I think that's enough there. They also do play along a little bit with Thor's hammer. We've seen that in the trailers as well. If you do not know, while it was like a little teaser in the teaser scene where everybody's like, "Oh, pick up the hammer! Can you pick up the hammer?" Captain America, Chris Evans, he actually can like budget a little bit, and Thor notices. In the comics, there's actually a comic book arc where Captain America does pick up Thor's hammer and does become like king of Asgard for a little bit. I can be mistaken on like if he actually becomes king and stuff like that, but I know he does become able to wield Thor's hammer, and they play along with that. Like that's kind of, it's a few running jokes. One, who can pick up Thor's hammer, and it's like there's a few jokes in there. I don't want to spoil those jokes. They're actually kind of funny. But the Vision, one of the new characters. Let's go ahead and talk about the new characters real quick. You have Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, and the Vision. Not excluding Ultron because he's the villain. We'll talk about him in a second. Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, I told you they're more Inhumans. Their powers were gifted to them, kind of like in a more Spider-Man type sense, where he was bit by the spider and got his powers. Their powers were more like given to them more like a kind of like, well, Wolverine is immune. He just got the adamantium claws through experiments, but kind of like that. Think about it like that. They both do play prominent roles in the movie. They're kind of back and forth between. Well, they're first. You know what? I'm not gonna say anything. They play a prominent role throughout the movie. Both of them play their roles perfectly. When it comes to Quicksilver, I like this Quicksilver more than the X-Men Days of Future Past Quicksilver, because that Quicksilver seemed more like a gimmick. Like, if he were to show up, like if that Quicksilver from Days of Future Past showed up in more movies, you'd probably get tired of him. Where this Quicksilver is more mature, still jokey a little bit. He makes a lot of like I said, there's a lot of ongoing jokes throughout this. Let me get a sip of water real quick. Sorry about that. But there are a lot of ongoing jokes. He makes a few of them, but he's more, I feel like he's more of a developed character, and you wouldn't mind having him in more future films. Scarlet Witch, she's same thing like Quicksilver. She's a developing character, and you wouldn't mind seeing her. Both of them play their Scarlett Johansson. What's her name? Elizabeth Olsen, and damn, I can't remember his name. Kick-Ass. Both play their roles very well acted. Their scenes are very, very good, and in future films, you're gonna enjoy having them around. The Vision and Ultron are like yin and yang. Vision being the light, Ultron being the dark. Vision is he's powered by the mind gem. I'm not gonna say too much about that. He's powered by the mind gem. I'm not gonna say how she becomes into the movie because that's too much of a spoiler. But yin and yang, they're made from the same program. He is an offspring of Jarvis, but he's not actually Jarvis. So Tony Stark at the end does have a new like robotic voice, AI. But him and Ultron are like yin and yang. We'll put it like that. Ultron himself is the best villain I've seen in a long time. He's witty, he's smart, he's menacing, he's everything that you want out of a villain. He has Dragon Ball Z syndrome. I don't want to say syndrome, but like he starts off like the little weakling, you see there no string on me, and then all the way till the end of the movie, where like in Dragon Ball Z, their villains kind of like go through metamorphosis and get stronger and stronger. Ultron is like that. How you have Frieza when he's like with the horns, until like the iconic Frieza that we all know and love. Shout out Resurrection of Frieza coming out soon. Or like Cell or Majin Buu, how they just get stronger and stronger over time. That's how Ultron is, and it's so fun to watch him evolve throughout this movie. They even like make jokes about it throughout the movie, like, oh, like Captain America, well, not Captain, Tony Stark is like, he says, oh, it's like you've been juicing since the last time I seen you. It's just like a whole lot of funny jokes. Like I said, he's very menacing, he's very smart. He says a whole lot of lines in this movie that make you go, damn, shit. Like, is a scene in there where he's going to get, no, not when he's going to get the vibranium, but when he's going to create, no, I'm not going to say it like that, but when he's going to do something and he invades a lab and like one of the scientists walk in and he's like, if you scream, I'll kill everybody in here. And I was like, damn. And there's another scene in here where he's like fighting the Avengers for like the second or third time, and this is when he's going to get the vibranium and they're trying to stop him, and he's like, they're like, what are you gonna do with the vibranium? And he's like, oh yeah, because this is totally the time where I tell you my evil, sinister plan. And he just starts whooping their ass. I was like, oh my gosh. But Ultron is one of the best villains you will see in a long time. Speaking of that, oh, he does some like shit that you thinking like, why don't you do this? He does it for the most part. Like there's scenes in this movie like, oh my gosh, he's a villain. Like there's no redemption. Like some villains have that redeeming quality. He doesn't. And he does have kind of like a low key line, like how you remember how Loki was face to face with the Hulk, and he's like, I'm tired of this, you're a god, I'm a god, you're just humans. And he's like, and Hulk starts smashing him around. There's kind of a scene like that in this movie. But yeah, Ultron is like the best villain I've seen in a very, very, very long time. Who no, I can't think of a villain that can like measure up to him other than Joffrey. But Joffrey will no. I'm not gonna say Joffrey from Game of Thrones, but because those are two different types of evil right there. There is a death of a main character in this movie. I think I can encompass all this together. Well, these two notes together. There is a main character death in this movie. I'm not gonna spoil who, when, where, how, and why, but it's like out of nowhere. It's like, wow, that really just happened. So there is a death of main characters. But speaking of characters, every character or superhero that you've seen in all of at least phase 2 is in this movie. So including Anthony Mackie, and what's his face? Don Cheadle, War Machine, and Falcon. They're both in this movie, and they both have roles in this. But Anthony Mackie, the Falcon, says something that made me think about like the Netflix series. He's like, he's talking to Captain America. He's like, oh, if I knew, Captain America's like, oh, if I knew there was going to be like a whole big thing, I would have called you. And then he's like, oh, well, no, I do more street level work. I'm fine with that. You're an Avenger. You go save the world. I'm fine being street level. So that made me think of like the Daredevil series and like Luke Cage, and the other series they're about to do on Netflix. So can we see like crossovers? Like, can we see like the Falcon in like Daredevil or Iron Fist or something like that? Luke Cage, one of those shows. Like crossover. And Daredevil did say, or should I say, Chris Cox, who's playing Daredevil, Matt Murdock, he said he would like to have an appearance in Civil War. So it just made me think of more crossover-y like stuff. That'd be kind of cool. That way it'll like whirl around the universe. Just to have like somebody like Anthony Mackie to show up on a Netflix show, it'll like say, okay, this is all in the same universe. We can believe this. How they gonna work Rocket Raccoon into all this? Still don't know. Rocket Raccoon and Groot, that's a whole totally different story, but you guys see what I'm saying. So majority of all the characters that you've seen are in this movie, and it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel like, oh my gosh, it's too many characters in this. It's all working together. It's all good. Speaking of characters, once again, a few more points before we end this off. The Hulk and Hawkeye stories are fleshed out a lot more in this, because if you don't know, it was revealed like a few weeks ago. The Hulk hasn't had a standalone film yet because another movie studio company, whoever was putting out the Hulk movies before this, still owned that. So that's why they took the time in this movie to focus more on the Hulk's background and Hawkeye's background. We learned a lot more about Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye, his family, and things like that. And we see a more of a development between the Hulk and Bruce Banner, and how those two are still fighting to coexist in the same body, quote unquote. Because if you know about the comics and stuff like that, you know the Hulk and Bruce Banner do not get along. The Hulk does not like Bruce Banner because it's like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde situation, where Bruce Banner is such a calm, collected person, and the Hulk is just this devastating force, and they're fighting to coexist. And that's where you see like Black Widow coming in and trying to soothe and calm the Hulk, all that stuff. And it's like more of the story between those two, Bruce Banner and Black Widow. So that's pretty much it. At the end of the movies, they do tease a new Avengers team with like all the side characters, not the side characters, but you know, everybody, the main heroes, like Hulk goes away, Iron Man goes away, Thor goes back home, and then that just leaves Captain America and Black Widow like always. You know what I'm saying? Like all the main people go, so like all the side characters like Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, Falcon, War Machine, the Vision, they're like forming a new team of Avengers. Because if you know the comic books, I keep saying that, you know that the Avengers kind of rotate in and out of roles whenever needed. So, and like I said, they do explain more about the Infinity Gems in this movie, and my voice is about to be gone. I gotta end this now. They explain more about the Infinity Gems in this movie. So, like I said, Phase 3 is... once you watch this movie, you're going to see where Phase 3, the direction is going on. I think the only thing, unless I just didn't catch it, they really didn't hit on was Ant-Man. That was the only thing I didn't really catch a reference on, unless I just missed it, to be honest with you. But with all of that being said, I would definitely recommend you guys go see this in 3D IMAX if you have the money. Even if you don't have the money, save up the extra money to go watch it in 3D IMAX, because that's like the best way to see it. All the action scenes, all the scenes in this movie were spot on, A1, excellent. I believe I talked about everything. We talked about the characters and all that stuff. I did say some stuff in this movie, well, in this review, to kind of throw you off, because there are a lot more shock spoilers. But in saying that, I didn't want to say anything big major, so I said some stuff in there that's going to throw you off when you actually watch the movie. Like, he said this, and then this, and then, oh, I get it now. I said some stuff that's going to throw you off. So we actually see the movie like, oh, he said this, but I'm glad he didn't spoil it all the way. But with all of that being said, if you've enjoyed this review, please leave a like, comment down below. If you were able to watch this movie, comment down below what you liked about it. If you're going to use spoiler tags on certain, like, major spoiler stuff, please use spoiler tags to let people know. If you haven't seen the movie yet, but you've enjoyed this review, please comment down below what you want to see from this movie, and we can talk about it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and share this video out with your friends. And if you want to follow me on anything other than YouTube, you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch, and more, all linked in the description below. With all of that being said, go watch this movie. Comes out May 1st. The week I'm putting out this review, that Friday, Saturday, this movie's going to be out. With all that being said, go watch this movie. Once again, I am the Average Gamer Shawn, and I am out of here.